Welcome into the Commanders Report. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today, Micah Parsons, superstar edge rusher for the Dallas Cowboys, requested a trade away from the boys there. We'll be breaking down that, what it means for the NFC East at the top of today's show. Then we'll get into the latest surrounding the Terry McLaurin situation. Of course, yesterday he formally requested a trade away from the Burgundy and Gold. I'll be breaking down the very latest from Albert Breer, Stephen A. Smith, and more. Then we'll get into a star UFL wide receiver that the Washington Commanders brought in today with Terry McLaurin still not at Commanders training camp practice. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already for daily Terry McLaurin updates, breaking down all the latest surrounding what the Commanders are offering versus what Terry McLaurin and his team are currently looking for. We also have daily practice updates on Commanders training camp practice, let you guys know which players are showing out, which players maybe are disappointing a little bit. And of course, we're going to be live for every single Commanders preseason game over the next several weeks here leading up to the 2025 NFL regular season. So click that subscribe button if you haven't already to join the fastest growing Commanders channel anywhere here on YouTube. Well, that's Dallas, folks. All right, Micah Parsons, their superstar edge rusher, is now putting a ton of pressure on the Cowboys to reopen extension talks, officially requesting a trade away from the Dallas Cowboys today. Earlier today, Dianna Russini posted this, kind of breaking the news. Breaking, Micah Parsons and the Cowboys' relationship has deteriorated to the point where the star pass rusher is considering drastic measures, which could include a trade request or even a declaration that he is severing his relationship with the team per multiple league sources familiar with the situation. The two sides remain far apart heading into the second week of training camp and are not currently negotiating. Then just minutes later, Russini also said this. Among the key issues, Micah Parsons spoke directly with Jerry Jones over multiple days in the spring. The team believed those conversations were negotiations and that it had a deal, multiple league sources said. But Parsons believed the talks were just conversations and wanted his agent to handle the negotiations. When his agent attempted to start negotiations, the Cowboys declined to engage with him and told the pass rusher that they believed they already had a deal. Now the team is refusing to engage with Parsons' agent at all, creating a tense standoff amid increasing friction. And then this afternoon, Micah Parsons himself on X posted his official trade request, saying, "Yes, I wanted to be here with the Cowboys. I did everything I could to show that I wanted to be a Cowboy and wear the star on my helmet. I wanted to play in front of the best fans in sports and make this America's team once again. Unfortunately, I no longer want to be here in Dallas. I no longer want to be held to closed-door negotiations without my agent present. I no longer want shots taken at me for getting injured while laying it on the line for my organization, our fans, and my teammates. After the 2024 season, I told my agent once again to let the team know we were open to negotiate when they met at the Combine. My agent informed me I should wait for other deals to get done because the price would only go up. But I didn't care and wanted to secure myself as a Cowboy long term. I knew I would be leaving money on the table, but again, I was okay with that. Up to today, the team has not had a single conversation with my agent about a contract. Not one demand has been made by my agent about money, years, or anything else. My trade request has been submitted to Stephen Jones personally." All right, so obviously massive news in the National Football League and in the NFC East here. And listen, guys, I really think that this could become like a Le'Veon Bell type of situation. We remember Le'Veon Bell with the Pittsburgh Steelers was looking for a new contract from them. The Steelers refused, and they also refused to trade him. And then Le'Veon Bell sat out the entire season that year. And it's certainly a situation right now where the Dallas Cowboys, they've already said publicly they have no intentions of trading Micah Parsons. Parsons now saying he does not want to be there. It'll be interesting to see if this really public pressure that Parsons is putting on the Cowboys is going to reopen negotiations. I would still say more likely than not, Parsons is still playing for the Cowboys this year, that they open up negotiations with his agent here now that he has officially requested a trade. But, I think that if things go really badly here, we could be looking at a Le'Veon Bell situation where Micah Parsons is not playing football in 2025. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. What are the chances Micah Parsons gets traded or misses games this year? Put it on a scale of 0, meaning no chance that he gets traded this year or misses time, to 100%, meaning he's out of there. He's done in Dallas. This will be the pinned comment on today's show. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds, and when that happens, take advantage of that time by letting me know the percent chance Micah Parsons is in a Cowboy this year. So now let's get into the latest surrounding scary Terry McLaurin and his situation because, of course, yesterday he officially requested a trade away from the Washington Commanders. We got some updates here from some NFL insiders, starting with Albert Breer, who has really got a nice inline road in this entire situation to this point. Breer says, I don't think the Terry McLaurin and Commanders situation is irreparable, but the sides went over a month without talking, and there's been little progress since. There's a divide across the board, APY, guarantees, etc., that needs to be bridged. Can it be? Sure, but McLaurin's willingness to do this is a sure sign of his frustration. Tried a holdout, then a hold-in, now this. None of it's easy for a dude who's been the ultimate program guy. The Commanders, meanwhile, have tried to stay disciplined on valuing players. It's a tough situation. Now listen, guys, a trade request is usually a negotiation tactic, specifically in the modern day NFL. We've seen a ton of players use trade requests as a negotiation tactic, and then they eventually get a deal done. Just look at Lamar Jackson, Myles Garrett, T. Higgins, Deebo Samuel in the past with the 49ers, and they all ended up getting long-term deals done with those respective teams. Brandon Ayuk just last offseason, CeeDee Lamb. I actually don't think Lamb requested a trade last year, but he definitely came close. But then you also get Adam Schefter here saying over the past 2 years, at least 3 wide receivers requested trades: T. Higgins, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk. None were traded in the year in which they made the request. McLaurin is now the latest wide receiver to seek a trade when failing to land the contract he wanted. So plain and simply, guys, even though McLaurin made that trade request, that does not mean that he is going to get traded and that an extension is dead here in Washington. Then Stephen A. Smith from ESPN's First Take went on his show today and said he has a source saying that the Washington Commanders are currently offering Terry McLaurin $27 million per season, which is a pretty penny. Don't get me wrong, that is a pay raise compared to what Terry McLaurin is currently making on his current contract, but it's not the DK Metcalf level figure that we have heard Adam Schefter throw around. And really the Courtland Sutton deal that the Denver Broncos dished out to Sutton this week has only dug the Washington Commanders' heels in more, because you look at Sutton and you look at McLaurin, they're both the same age, they're both 29 years old, and the production was very similar last year. I mean, almost identical outside of the touchdown numbers last year. And of course, McLaurin's PFF grade was almost 7 points higher than Sutton's, but Courtland is, the same age. They're both bigger wide receivers. They both had just over 1,000 yards. The yards per reception was almost exactly the same. The same thing with total receptions. And they're both number one receivers on their respective teams with young quarterbacks. So I can see why the Commanders feel like their deal with McLaurin should be closer to Sutton's than, say, DK Metcalf's with the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. But right now, this is what it looks like with Courtland Sutton's deal. He got a $92 million total deal over 4 years, which is $23 million per season, and puts him at the 18th highest paid wide receiver in football. But McLaurin is reportedly looking for much more than this. ESPN's Adam Schefter reported last week that Terry McLaurin wants more than what DK Metcalf got from the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason when they traded for him. DK's contract details are right here, where it's $132 million total over 4 years, $33 million per season, a $30 million signing bonus, with $60 million of the $132 million total being fully guaranteed at signing. And, if Terry McLaurin exceeds, the APY, the guaranteed money, all that stuff on DK Metcalf's contract, that would make him a top 4 highest paid wide receiver in the National Football League. And with him about to turn 30 in September, you can tell that the Washington Commanders have their reservations about paying him that much money heading into the 2025 NFL season. So you be the GM for me down there in the comments section. Would you sign Terry McLaurin to a 3-year, $33.5 million per season contract to give him more money than DK Metcalf heading into this season? Type S for sign or type P for pass. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Is this too much money for Terry McLaurin? And if you think so, let me know your reasons down there in the comments section. And listen, guys, if Terry is traded, what would a trade package look like? I really don't think he will get traded, but I do think it's good to look at some of the teams that could potentially give, a good package to the Washington Commanders. And the thing that I would say about any trade package that the Commanders get for McLaurin is that it has to include a high-level wide receiver in the deal. Okay, so I got 5 ideas I want to run by you here. The first one is with the Green Bay Packers, where they have Jaden Reed. Reed kind of quarreled with their running back, Josh Jacobs, after Jacobs said they needed a legit number 1 receiver this offseason. Jaden took offense to that, and then also he took offense to the team drafting Matthew Golden in the first round of the NFL draft this year. In this deal, he becomes a Washington Commander and becomes the new number 1 receiver here in Washington. Plus, they get a 3rd-round pick from the Green Bay Packers in next year's NFL draft. The Packers get McLaurin, and they end up paying him the money that he wants. Another deal that could potentially work is the Indianapolis Colts. They have a lot of really good receivers on their team, but I would argue they don't have a legit number 1 on their team like Terry McLaurin is. So here you get one of the best deep threats in the National Football League. Alec Pierce, he led the league last year in yards per reception. One of the premier deep threats in the league. We know Jaden Daniels has a great deep ball. And you get a 2nd-round pick in 2026 from the Colts. And, of course, they get McLaurin. Another interesting idea, if you want to do a swap for another veteran wide receiver, Tyreek Hill is somebody that's had some drama with the Miami Dolphins all throughout the offseason. Could something like this be worked out here? I think that is possible, even though Tyreek is going to be asking for a new contract here pretty soon. I don't know if the Commanders want to go through this entire charade again. I would probably say this is the least likely of the options that I'm going to be presenting to you guys. Maybe my favorite, though, is this idea with the San Francisco 49ers, where you get Jawan Jennings and Brandon Ayuk in exchange for McLaurin, and you give the 49ers some cash considerations. And you might be saying at home, but Jack, Brandon Ayuk just had a massive knee injury. That is a huge risk. Well, actually, it's not that much of a risk, because you look at the cap hits here, you're only paying, crackers, man. Like this is like close to league minimum numbers in terms of cap hits for the next 2 years, because most of the money that he's making for 2025 and 2026, the Niners already picked up on a roster bonus. And then by the time these numbers kick in 2027 and 2028, none of that money is guaranteed. So the Commanders, if he's not up to snuff and he's not worth that money, they can let him go. And then they also get Jawan Jennings in this deal, who was a top 20 receiver in football last year with his production. He's a great run blocker, phenomenal route runner. He's got terrific hands as well. And this would actually recombine the 2023 49er receiver room. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and Jawan Jennings helped the 49ers make a Super Bowl just 2 seasons ago. And that would be the goal here with this potential trade, reuniting these 3 receivers with Jaden Daniels here in D.C. But then another one here, if you want to get kind of a younger receiver for the future, a good option is Kyle Williams, who the Patriots just drafted out of Washington State. I love Williams' game. He's such a good route runner. He's underrated after the catch. I think that he can be a really good potential number 1 receiver in the future. Plus, you get the Patriots' 2nd-round pick in 2026 in this potential deal. So out of the 5 trade ideas that I just threw at you guys, which one is your favorite? Personally, my favorite is the San Francisco 49ers one, where you get both Brandon Ayuk and Jawan Jennings. I think that would be a very intriguing move the Commanders could make. A lot of upside there with very little risk. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So before I go, I do have one more matter of business I want to discuss with you guys, and that is that the Commanders have signed a wide receiver, not Terry McLaurin, but a different wide receiver, and that is UFL star wide receiver Braylon Sanders, who ended up winning the UFL championship with the DC Defenders in this year's UFL season. So obviously, he's represented Washington, D.C. before, and now he is going to be joined with this Washington Commanders roster. And I think he will be a name to watch in the preseason, guys. Braylon is somebody that was super productive in the UFL this year. Now, there's not a ton of examples of UFL players coming in outside of the kicker position that have had success in the National Football League. Kavontae Turpin is an exception. There's a couple of others. But he really was productive with the DC Defenders this year, and we'll see how he does with the Commanders in these preseason games and in these training camp practices in the weeks to come. All right, that'll be it for today's edition of Commanders Commanders news and rumors. We will be giving you guys preseason watch parties for every single preseason game and every single regular season game this year as well. Hopefully we have a good handful of postseason watch parties again this year as well. So click that subscribe button if you haven't already to join the largest fan community anywhere for Commanders fans here on YouTube.